Sean Diddy Combs, also known as P Diddy, could be heading for jail after being found guilty of 2 out of 5 charges during that trial in America. With me, broadcaster Celia Walden and our very own Ross King. The jury have come to a verdict. I found it extremely strange that his family were celebrating the fact that he'd been found guilty on 2 very serious counts.
Well, it's almost like, we were talking about this beforehand, almost in America, everyone claiming victory.
Yes.
Prosecution and the defence.
Bizarre.
We all won, because, of course, they're all on, like, $1,000 an hour, so they've got to say...
Minimum.
We have, minimum, you know, that we have actually won.
Yeah.
But as you say, there were 5 counts, found guilty in 2 of them. The big one was racketeering, because that was the one he would go away for 20 years or for life. And we were also talking about the fact is trying to explain to people, racketeering really is organised crime. It's like back to the days of, you know, the mob bosses and the mafia and what have you. In his defence and in the prosecution, it was a bit more like disorganised crime, I think, rather than organised crime. So found not guilty in that one. Found guilty in 2 of the counts of prostitution. It's also taking prostitutes across state lines as well. It's another little thing there. That one can be about 5 years. The other one can be about 5 years or up to 10 years. I think the bottom line is that we'll probably find out in October. There will be an appeal, I'm sure, as well. October, when he will be sentenced. No bail, because the judge said he's a violent man.
So will he be in the jail until October?
He'll be in jail until October, unless an appeal gets through. And then he'll be sentenced. Then the interesting thing is, will it be... We say possibly 5 years. Would that be reduced to 2? Then they'll say the time served as well. So again, we've been talking about how surprised we are that other names haven't come out. I know that some people have been paid off not to get involved in this.
Interesting.
And we said the whole music business as well.
So. You've taken a, you know, it's like lifting a rock up, isn't it? And all this awfulness underneath.
But I think the other rocks are going to stay down. You know,
they've been paid off.
For whatever reason, the music industry is very reticent. It was very, very reluctant to get involved in Me Too, you'll remember. And everyone kept saying this is going to be the thing that will change everything, and I don't think it will.
No, I don't. I think you're absolutely right. You met the man. I did.
I spent an afternoon with him, amazingly. One of those things you just keep thinking, how did that happen? It was to promote his fragrance, which was brilliantly called Unforgivable. And that detail I'd sort of had forgotten. And it was on his sort of £65 million super yacht in Cannes, or near Monte Carlo, actually. And it was a fascinating experience because he spoke at length about his value system and his mother, who he adored. And I remember talking at one stage about the gang violence and him saying, "I just don't understand why you would do anything that might put you at risk of going to jail, because apart from anything else, think of how your mother would feel." And you know, listening back to the tape afterwards, it just seems so bizarre that, as he's saying all this stuff, you know, the allegations, some of them are within days of that interview.
It wasn't long ago that you were talking to him. It's
well,
bizarre,
I mean, it just seems weird, and then you wonder whether people just have a kind of split personality almost, you know.
And you wonder this verdict, because it's one of those, as you say, Ross, everybody can claim victory, even though he's found guilty of 2 very serious charges. But you know, will that have any effect on victims coming forward in the future? Maybe not involving him, but involving other people in that business.
I think it's very... unfortunately, I do think it did that thing of, you know, believe women. If we're to draw anything from this trial, they haven't actually believed the women, have they? By and large. I know that these are 2 very serious charges that he's gone down with, but still, as a bigger picture thing, they actually haven't. And I think people still struggle with that idea of someone having a long relationship with someone, don't they? And perhaps they're thinking, well, why did you go back? Why? I don't know. I don't know.
And it's very complicated. And that's sad. That is very, very sad. Can we talk about something else that has made an awful lot of the papers this morning? Rachel Reeves, of course, making headlines after seeing cry. I mean, really crying in the House of Commons yesterday. She was really suffering, and you wonder, it's a difficult one, this, isn't it? Because you sort of think to yourself, not in that job and not in that place to show emotion, because it affects the markets in a sense. But there's clearly, you never know what's going on in people's lives, and there's clearly something going on there. I mean, obviously it's a culmination of a lot of stress, but they've said there's something else happening privately.
Yeah, I mean, I think that that's why it's always difficult as a journalist. You want to be wary of having a very knee-jerk reaction to these things because, as you say, for all we know, a friend of hers has been diagnosed with something.
You don't know.
You
don't know. We just don't know. No.
But also, as you know, there is such a thing as tears of frustration. Those to me don't look like tears of frustration. As a woman, I'm familiar with them, and they.
Yeah.
Well, I thought it was interesting that it almost looked like Keir Starmer didn't notice.
He didn't notice,
No, he didn't. He was facing ahead, and he really should. I know he's doubled down this morning, and he said she absolutely has my total support.
Yeah.
Which you always think of the football analogy that means the manager's out. But he has doubled down on that. But at the time, I just wish somebody had put their arm around her. I know her sister did as she left the chamber.
Yes.
Her sister helped her. But I honestly, if I'd been an aide watching her, I would have said, "There's an important phone call for the Chancellor. We need to get her out of there for her own sake." The woman was suffering. It was horrible to watch. Horrible to watch.
Did your man notice when you
were No, we were laughing about this earlier. I do think men are not great at noticing when women are crying, and there's quite often that thing where they're suddenly like, "Oh, God,
is there something wrong?
Why?
Is there something wrong? I mean, it's she did look exhausted, didn't she? She was absolutely exhausted. The job, of course, takes its toll. We had Angela Rayner on yesterday, and we were talking about how Keir Starmer looks 10 years older, and she said she didn't want the big job, because it would age her dramatically. But it is that thing about, should you show emotion at work if you're in that position? It's a difficult one, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you know me, I agree to anything.
I
just get so emotional at anything. And I think, I mean, any workplace, it's so hard because emotions are so high at certain times, as we all know.
Of course.
And
that job is stressful. That job is very stressful. And the thing is that we do forget is we make these cartoonish figures, and it's very easy to carp and to, because we've all done it. We've all done it, myself included. But when you see someone suffering like that, you realise they're a human being and they've got a life outside of this bubble.
Yeah.
And we don't know what's
I think
happening.
also the worry with women is that, annoyingly, it perpetuates this narrative of women being sort of hysterical or not. And so there will be people who go on about that probably over the next few days. But what I would say to that is, if it were a man as well, I think they would be judged pretty harshly, wouldn't they? You would say, well, you can't be. What's wrong with you? Stiff upper lip, when in fact, apparently Winston Churchill used to cry all the time.
He was a very emotional man.
Yes. And
maybe it had something to do with the vast quantities of brandy that he consumed. Didn't stop him from doing his job properly, but still, it is that. Thank you both. It's interesting. I think we should cut her a bit of slack, and obviously, clearly, there's something else happening there, and just people have to be a little bit more kind.
Yes.
Well, that's a wrap for this video. We hope you enjoyed it. We have all the best moments from the show right here on the channel, and if you like this video, then we think you'll love this one. See you next time.